All right, we're looking at Tag and Bink We're Here, which is the reprint by Marvel Comics of Dark Horse's Tag and Bink Are Dead. And good for Marvel, they even kept like the in-jokes that are references to Dark Horse comics in their reprint. So Tag and Bink Are Here is basically Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, but in the Star Wars universe. And the joke of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead is, what if you followed two ordinary goofy guys through who are in the background of one of Shakespeare's stories, and while the epic and world-shaping events of Shakespeare's story are going on, these two ordinary doofuses are just trying to stay alive. And it's the same premise of Tag and Bink are here. These two rebel idiots, best buds, kind of argue like an old married couple, keep accidentally finding themselves in situations where they're having some impact on the Star Wars universe. Therefore, it makes most sense. The gag works if you're not just a casual Star Wars fan, but you know it enough to actually be able to pick up the events that they're referencing. There's also a really comedy writing wise, there's some really good framing devices, like right off the bat joking about how the writer and the artist are late and they just have to crank this out for their editor before episode 2 comes out. There's also a very great framing device right at the start where these two idiots bump right into C-3PO with their pants falling down, and C-3PO says, "We're doomed," because these are the idiots we have working for us on the rebellion. I think Big Boy might be a reference to one of Dark Horse's mascots. I'm not 100% sure, but there's also a lot of great visual gags hidden in the background if you go looking for them. This page I marked because there's an interesting 2-page spread to it where you could get mixed up and come down here, but actually the visuals are directing you up here, and then you can go back down this way going left and right. So that's kind of cool. Jumping ahead, they clearly know Star Wars, and they'll reference different things and even like fan gags about Star Wars. So things like the stormtrooper bonking his head on the door. There's a clever little head fake where in the first issue it looks like Tag and Bink are the two stormtroopers who are flying with Darth Vader, and then they screw up the whole mission. They're the two stormtroopers who are flying around in space that Han and Luke ran into out in space. They're the two guys who were goofing around talking as Obi-Wan Kenobi was shutting down the reactor or whatever in the background. But then the writer had a clever idea. So he's basically Tag and Bink are dead. He's killed them off in the end of issue 1. So he has the bright idea to get them back and make an excuse for it. So he just comes up with the idea that, Darth Vader grabbed them to put them in the TIE fighters, but then they snuck away into the background, and then they draw him as a goofball, making an excuse for how this totally isn't ripping you off. So the two guys get off the Death Star just as it blows up. They find Chewie's medal on Yavin, and what's interesting is everybody wants to do their own explanation of Chewie's medal. I just finished reading Heir to the Empire, and Timothy Zahn came up with the explanation that Chewie hates having people make much of him and like celebrate him. So Zahn's idea is that Chewie actually didn't want a medal because Chewie's like the ultimate introvert. They pick it, they make the crack that somebody forgot something, and then they pick up the medal that they forgot to give Chewie in the movie. Now you see, if you didn't know from Star Wars Episode 4 that there's a running gag about them forgetting to give Chewie a medal in the celebration scene, that gag's probably going to fly over your head. But if you're that level of a Star Wars nerd, this has plenty of stuff for you. I thought that issue 2 was a little bit more meandering. They meet Londo. They have a whole backstory with Londo. Then they screw up and they're the two who shoot C-3PO. I thought this was a nice little gag because episode 2 had just come out recently. Londo has a signed Mace Windu poster, to my main man Londo, may the force be with you, Mace. All right, that's pretty clever, and they're the two stormtroopers that Chewie knocks around. Episode 3 Okay, there's an interesting thing about episode 3 where they got a chance to redraft it, so they did like a really short little 12-page story, and then later they asked to like come back and flesh it out and revisit it. So there's also a great gag where Boba Fett keeps showing up, but he keeps getting knocked out or landing on his butt or something when he comes face to face with him. So he absolutely hates Tag and Bink, but they end up knocking him out and disguising themselves as Boba Fett and this other bounty hunter throughout the events of episode 3. They introduce like a cute, I don't know if this cute, sexy bounty hunter shows up in anything else, but it ends with the twisteroo that the Emperor's guards. They see the whole fight between Darth and Luke go down, but they don't get off the ship in quite enough time, and they end up as 2 Force ghosts. And another great gag, young Anakin and old Anakin show up and they don't know what to make of each other, in reference to the special editions removing the old actor and putting Hayden Christensen in digitally in that scene. More examples of cool visual humor. They reference the meme, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Pelagius scene? And then they have him watching Finding Nemo in the background, since it's an oceanic scene. And then they explain that, well, actually, there's no such thing as luck. So you thought that Tag and Bink were lucky for surviving this whole time. They were 2 Jedi who were just barely good enough to get in. Another great visual gag where they have a thing saying like Jedi, the chosen one, and the Emperor is responsible for destroying Krypton. It's just full of great, absurd nonsense like that. One of my favorites is they bump into Anakin, and Anakin's going to take them in for deleting the files, and instead they offer to help him seduce Padme if he'll help them out, and then he ends up going off script, and so the line about sand is coarse and rough, that was him getting nervous and forgetting his lines, and so they have to coach him into seducing her. Great absurd nonsense like that. And then they also include the little bonus story that was later fleshed out later. So what's interesting about this is it actually has some dialogue beats word for word, but it just condenses and cuts out a lot, and it's a completely different artist doing sometimes the same scenes. So what would I say? I think it is good comedy in that it supplements a good central gag, 2 idiots bumping around in the Star Wars universe, with lots of great visual gags and background humor. If you look carefully at the background characters, you'll spot Monsters Inc. characters, or other movie characters from other alien type franchises in the background. So it rewards you for reading it carefully. It really most rewards you if you are the soy jack type of Star Wars fan, where you know a lot of the lore and nerd debates about the movies. But I would definitely pick it up if you can find it somewhere. That's it. We don't need no stinking 10-minute videos. Love you guys. Catch you later.